what you gotta watch out for. There's always something flying back at you.
Counting my grandfather, the Rosenberrys have made a living in the lumber business for over 100 years. That's in this area. Within 5 miles is where my grandfather grew up as the crow flew. So that's pretty amazing to me. 3 generations, almost 4. Glenn had his own sawmill initially, and then my dad and Guy had their own sawmill. So the 3 of them decided they would have a better business if they all 3 threw together, made a company. Glenn had contacts better than the other boys. He had bigger trucks, so they started a small company, and it worked well. They grew up on a farm that was too small to support these younger men coming on. There wasn't enough money there so they all got into the firewood business, rails, stave mills, which is barrel staves. They cut white oak billets to make the sides of a wooden barrel, like a whiskey barrel. My name is Joseph Rosenberry.
My name's Gardner.
Troy Rosenberry.
My name's Greg Rosenberry. I'm Denny Rosenberry.
I'm Gary Rosenberry.
Chris Rosenberry.
I'm Stacy Brady. I am Glenn's granddaughter.
My dad was Glenn Rosenberry.
Leonard Rosenberry was my dad.
Gary Rosenberry's son.
My dad was Glenn, son of Guy Rosenberry.
Gary's my pap and Troy's my dad.
I'm one of the sons of the 3 brothers that founded Rosenberry Brothers.
I am Glenn's granddaughter.
Been here virtually all my life.
Worked here my entire life. All these guys, my uncles, grew up poor. They were Depression-era people. Didn't have money for shoes, never had a bicycle, none of that stuff. You couldn't hardly sell a pig. Nobody had any money. You couldn't get a quarter for a pig, a young pig. It's just how it was. They ate deer and groundhog. They didn't have beef, or that's what they were raised on. They lived out of the mountain, shot whatever to put meat on the table, turkeys and grouse. And Glenn, the oldest boy, was probably drafted first. And then my dad was drafted in 42 and served till the end of the war. He was just thrilled to death that was over and he could get back to Horse Valley, which is where they were all born and raised. It's a little valley just east of where we are here. And I live there. It's a beautiful place, and I can see why they loved it so. They were honest guys. They treated people like they would have wanted to be treated. Any business deal, it wasn't all for them. It was a fair price for people's timber or land and timber. As far as I know, no one has ever had a problem with any business dealing they had with us. And they had a lot of pride in their name by being that way. They appreciated that the name Rosenberry was associated with an honest sawmill lumber business. They prided themselves on that. Here is Rosenberry Brothers. This is Denny's father, Guy. That's my dad, Leonard. This is Glenn, Gary and Gardner and Greg's dad. Glenn was sort of he ran the mill some, but he was more in the office then, and he was the people person or the deal maker usually. My father, Leonard, he was a timber cutter. He was the logger of the bunch, and Guy was the sawmill man. He understood sawmills, how to make them cut, run right, and really put the footage through the mill. So they all had their little area that they were good at, and it's probably why it worked so well. They didn't step on each other too much, but they would always have a little conference before any major funds were spent or major decisions, that way. What do you think? Brother, should we buy it? No, yes. It was talked over, and yeah, let's do it, or no, let's not do it. So that's why it lasted like it did, I think.
I've cut bigger than this. I think, let me see here, it's 55 inches. It was one my neighbor had down by his cabin, and he wanted to get it cut because he was afraid the wind was going to take it. I had to put a 3-foot bar on to cut it. It was a big tree. What I always do on a big tree like this, to make sure I get the center so it don't pull out, I'll run my saw in the middle and cut it away.
Well, first thing in the morning, you always get the equipment ready. Then you go out in the woods and start cutting trees. And then whenever Dad says it's time to come in, you go in.
There's the end product. What'd you think of that?
There ain't no bigger thrill than watching a tree fall, especially whenever it's a great, great big one and you hear that sucker hit. It shatters the earth. You know what I mean? It's an adrenaline rush, It is. Experience cutting trees is something you're not taught. You learn it yourself, And it's hard to explain because every tree's different. I always claimed a tree's kind of like a woman. Everyone's different. Whenever you get in a patch of timber and you can just cut and cut and cut and cut and cut, lay them on the ground, and you can just keep going and they can just keep dragging, that's a perfect day. But we ain't had no perfect days in a long time. I had good days, but not perfect. My boy, he can be contrary sometimes. But then again, there it is, father and son. He has his way of doing things, I have my way of doing things. He does well. He's very good for his age, and I'm really proud of him. So I am. He's a heck of a boy. I'm so afraid of him getting hurt. And if he would get hurt, it would kill me. I know he can get hurt dragging logs, you know what I mean? But I know he's a little safer in that skidder than being out there cutting them trees, and because I do think about it every day, this might be the last day I'm walking out my door, or coming home.
Pretty nice drag, if I do say so myself.
It's a dangerous job, I could get hurt tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So, you have to be on your toes all the time, and there's just so many things that can get you that it's like you're constantly watching,
My dad, Troy Rosenberry, he's taught me pretty much everything I know. He's taught me a lot about logging, period, and he's probably been the one to teach me everything other than our mechanic, Gary Byers. He's hard-headed, definitely hard-headed. And it makes it hard sometimes because he wants to see me do the right things because he don't want me getting hurt. That's about the biggest thing. He's definitely taught me a lot. Everything I know pretty much he's taught me. It's been a constant battle this whole past spring and summer. Well, whenever it rains almost every day for weeks upon weeks, you really can't do nothing because of the mud. And every time you work, it's just, well, you've seen it, it makes more of a mess than anything. It stirs it up. And then more mud on top of mud, it just ain't good. It's hard on the equipment. It's hard on your body.
If I was really better shape as far as shoulders, knees, back, I'd probably keep going. But I love to cut trees. I can't do it anymore. It was just a good life, You got up early, you worked hard, you got
get your work done, and you come home. It wasn't like at 5:30, 6 o'clock driving through traffic. It was just a way of life. It's, you know, you didn't, after about a year, you didn't need an alarm clock. You were used to getting up at 4, and I'm still like that. I wake up at 4 o'clock every morning. If I go to bed at 2, I'm gonna wake at 4. It's a way of life, you know. You had good times, you had bad times. There's always something aggravating you. Bees, snakes, mud, or something would break.
Really, when you work in the woods, everything's against you. It's everything works against you. I guess it's what you just call the physics of it, or the law of averages, or whatever. You have to learn to overcome it. And my Uncle Leonard would tell me, don't get mad. Because he said, if you're mad in the morning here, you're going to be mad all day. I mean, I can't really sit here and explain it. It's something you almost have to experience. You had days that went great. And then you'd have days where Uncle used to say the old wood devils are around today. Yeah. In the wintertime, you have the snow and the ice. In the spring, the mud. And sometimes in the summertime, it's wet. And it's a dangerous job. And you get cut every now and then, things happen. And it's not if it's going to happen, it's just when it's going to happen. Perfect day, if you would get there and you could load 3 trucks and have your yard full for the next morning. Without any kind of flat tires, chainsaw malfunctions, equipment malfunctions, that's a perfect day. And there was more of them than there was the bad days. Those bad ones always kind of stuck out, you know.
It's almost like the fun's out of it anymore, you know, because everything's so regulated, and it's almost like you can't get a perfect job anymore, you know, where we used to have them. And it made it a lot funner, you know. You didn't have to worry about as much. Every day it's a battle, wondering where the water's going to go to and which way along the road. And it used to be, you never had to worry about a little bit of mud, or now they're just breathing down your neck all the time. We've done jobs for state already, to where if we cut trees along a road, like a state land road, you had to pull the tops back like 50 to 100 feet because people thought it was awful. You know, you shouldn't be cutting them trees. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. And I think that's why things are why the way they are. And people just don't understand. You know, whenever they take a piece of paper out and write on it, or they go to the bathroom, where do you think that paper comes from? It don't come from a corn cob. It don't come from, you know, recycled stuff. It comes from trees, you know. And I'm surprised they even let you go to the bathroom out in the woods anymore, you know, without having to do some kind of eco-friendly, you know. It's just, they're on you so hard anymore about everything. I figured I'd probably retire doing this, but I never knew things were going to be the way they were with buying timber and trying to find jobs, and they got everything so regulated. I'm at the age now, I'm starting to look, I want a little easy in my life, because I've, you know, busted my butt all my life. So I'm sure people can appreciate that, you know.
V8, Stace. How about a box of raisins, Stace? One box of raisins? How about an energy cake? How about you? Want an energy cake? Box of raisins?
Yeah, one of the things I really wanted was I wanted to see 3 generations coming with loaded trucks, logs coming, and I did. Chris and his dad and me. Chris was ahead, and then I think Troy was next, and then I was bringing up the rear, you know.
I'm a truck driver, laborer, operator. I trim trees, I drag trees. That's about it there. I probably started going when I was about 5 years old, but I only went every Friday with my dad. I'd say when I got 10 or 11, I went every summer. When I first started going every Friday, my dad would pay me $5 every time I went. Whenever I started working for my pap, he started paying me $25 a week, and it went to $50. Then he started paying me $300. Then after I got out of school, started paying me full time. And I always knew I wanted to do this. It's fun, getting to work for yourself, working with your family. I'm definitely gonna miss it.
When I got to high school, I wanted to log, and that's what I went and did. Dad had some logging equipment, that's how I started. I was free. You know, I could, well, if you see a deer, you're out hunting, grab your gun, you went, you know. The sawmill, you had to stay right on the post, you know. It was sort of like a factory. You had to stay there and do your job. But if you were logging, like I said, if you saw a deer, you wanted to go after it, you went hunting, you know, or turkeys. You'd see a flock of turkeys, go out, you'd break them turkeys up, take your turkey call them back, you know. I loved it. I loved to cut trees. I just loved to cut trees. I just never thought about anything else, you know. That's all I can tell you about that.
We had a guy at work here named Charlie. We called him Charlie Campbell. Not the smartest guy. We have a thing up here called a chipper. We run wood in it to make little chips. Well, we told Charlie, if anything ever gets stuck in the chipper, a piece of wood won't go in, do not put anything with metal near this chipper. Don't try and push this wood on in with a crowbar or a shovel or anything. So the chipper was plugged, something there. Charlie went out to unloosen it, and in Charlie's mind, the only thing he had to work with was a shovel, a coal shovel with a D-ring handle. So he's out here banging on this piece of wood, trying to knock it in the chipper. I'm in a sawyer's booth. I didn't know anything went wrong. All of a sudden, this man comes through the back door of the booth, and he stuttered. And he said, I tried to get the chipper unstuck, and the shovel went in the chipper. Well, here he's standing with a handle that your fist is in, and about this much of a wood handle ground to a point, and the steel shovel and everything went through the chipper. Not a good night.
This was really the first and biggest mill to go all electric back there in the early 1960s, and they were the first mill in the area with a chipper to grind up the slabs into chips and haul them to P.H. Gladfelder. And we were the number 2 chip supplier for P.H. Gladfelder. It was always number 2 on our paperwork there with Gladfelders.
We're sort of running an old school sawmill out of the 50s and 60s, upgraded. We were hot stuff here in the 70s and 80s. We had as good equipment as anyone. And then we didn't put big money in our mill. We were doing fine. Profit was fine. But now, due to gypsy moth, making the timber more scarce, more regulations, it's all become a lot harder to deal with. And you get older, that's not a good thing. You lose interest quicker.
Sawing, you're involved in, you're making the lumber. You're responsible for the tree that comes on the carriage and what you're going to make into that. To take the best grade off, or cut it down into pallet lumber or tie. If you're the one screwing up, you're going to cost the company money. So you want to do your best to take the grade off. That's what I enjoyed the most, is taking a nice tree, getting the best lumber out of it. First time sitting in the booth in the chair, nervous because there's so much going on. The saw can run into the carriage, which it's all metal, and you don't want that to happen. And the speed of your carriage back and forth, turning your logs, but it was pretty scary the first couple times you're sitting there. And finally, as I said, it clicked. It's kind of like riding a bike. You can't do it, and all of a sudden, you can do it. And you look back, and I don't know why I didn't pick this up quicker. Running the saw, it's very satisfying, because if you're not in there sawing, nobody's working on the mill. You're the one that has to be putting the lumber out to manufacture the lumber. And if you screw up there, you break something, then the whole mill shuts down until it's fixed.
The lumber business has always had ups and downs. We're sort of like the farmer. We have to take what the market pays, even though it may not be much profit left at that price, or no profit. So we're at the mercy of the market. We can't set the price. We have to take what someone will pay. And sometimes your costs and materials and manufacturing, you barely break even. It seems like it's more difficult. Now maybe there's younger people out there. They have better sawmills. They got big money behind them. Their mill is more efficient than our mill. So in an 8-hour day, they can probably cut almost double what we do in an 8-hour day.
Definitely won't miss windy days hauling sawdust, cold days hauling sawdust, and the mud. Other than that, it's not that bad of a job. I've enjoyed it.
I love going down the road with a nice load of lumber on. I take pride in that because it's our lumber. Our sawmill created it, and I'm lucky enough to haul it in one of their trucks, a pretty truck, a nice truck. Doesn't get too much better than that. There was a few times in the mountains, the roads got icy. Down in West Virginia, I used to truck down there. Had a scare there one day. The road was not icy on this side of the mountain, but I went up over the top. Pooh! Sheet ice. What do you do? There are no cinders. Bad situation. So again, my dad taught me, get along the edge of the road. There's a little bit of grit and grind over here, and the guardrails are right there, and if it slides into the guardrails, you've done all you can do. I mean, I'm just not going fast, maybe 5 or 10 mile an hour. Big trucks with a 20-some ton of lumber on, and a icy road, and maybe an 8 or 9% incline. Very dangerous thing. It'll just take off like a sled or a guy on skis, and you have no way of stopping it. You got your brakes on, but they're just sliding along as merrily as you could be. But luckily, made it down out of there that day without wrecking up anything. We've been bringing lumber here for the last 50 years. They're good people. They always treat us well. My dad and uncle, Guy, have been bringing lumber here since the 50s. On a nice day like this, dry roads, in the fall, it's beautiful with the leaves. You get to see the country. A few pretty girls now and then, the cars. but I've been driving trucks since I was 16 on the road. Back then, you didn't need a CDL license or anything special. You just got in the truck and drove it if you could. I have a nice garage. I still play with hot rods and Mustangs and stuff like that. I don't have a lot of tinkering time, but after a while that might get old too, and you think, man, I wish I had that good running truck to get down the turnpike with a load of lumber again. I think I'm gonna get lonely. When I drive my last load of lumber down the road, that's probably gonna be hard to imagine, you know, hauled hundreds, if not thousands of loads of lumber, and that'll be different for a while.
I probably know more about the boys than what they know about themselves, and probably more than what their wives do. I take care of their health. I take care of social securities for them. I take care of pretty much everything. If it needs done and they have an issue, they're like, hey, we're gonna go to Stace because she'll get it done. So I take care of them not only business-wise, but personally. And I hope I can continue to do that even when this place closes down. I hope that they all still reach out to me and know that I'll always be here for them, because I will be. They're all family, and I love them. And I told you I was gonna cry. Earliest memories, Mom and Dad built the house. I think I was 10 when they built the house, and I started coming over during the summers, and I helped grind mulch. And then when school started, then I would come over here after school and work night shift. I stacked lumber, I'd run the end trimmer, I'd run the edger, I'd run the debarker. Denny even put me in there running the main saw a couple times. Of course, he stood behind me and told me what to do, so I've actually run everything up there. So when these guys come in and say how hard the job is, yeah, don't give me that. I was a 12-year-old little girl stacking lumber sometimes by myself. We've always did everything on a handshake, and we've always kept that. Nothing's ever been reneged on a handshake. We didn't have to have things wrote down. Anymore today, it's like if you don't have things wrote down, people can go back on what they say and how they say it. And to be raised the way I was, if you tell someone that you're going to do something, you better follow through with it, because you're not a very good person if you don't. And the memories that I'm going to have is all the good times. And we've had plenty of them in here. I'll always remember them. And that's probably the memories that I'm going to take away. I can't really say that it was a job. It's more of a passion, let's say. I actually felt like they trusted me with the business. There it is. Whatever decisions, I don't think they ever doubted me. I always had that opportunity to take care of someone, and I just feel better taking care of somebody. I mean, if I couldn't, I don't know what I would do. It just wouldn't feel right. This heartbeat stops, I'm gonna be here. I've gotta be here. I won't let these guys down. I can't.
What I'm going to miss about this business when it closes, it's been a part of my lifetime since I was 12, I guess. The equipment, the work, I enjoyed almost all of it. The people I've met over the years, very interesting. They all had their little traits. but got along with all of them, and it's going to be a little difficult to walk away from this after 55 years or so, but I don't think I would change too much. It was good the way it was.
Worked here until I was about 20, 21 years of age, 22. This place taught me what it means to be a hard worker, to respect people, and I guess that's what I'm gonna miss the most about this, is those memories. So.
Best job I've ever had, really, in all the years I've been mechanicing all my life. Everything. So it's like a family around here, so we're gonna miss that part of it.
Oh, this is the best place I ever worked. The bosses, they're just phenomenal. Secretary, she does things that's just, out of this world. She bends over backwards for you. It's just like family. I'm definitely going to miss working.
I don't think I'm going to miss anything. Because I'm probably going to be doing a little bit of it next fall when I'm laid off. So, I don't know. I'm going to miss being out in the woods every morning is what I'm going to miss the most.
What I'm actually going to miss a lot is friends and actually some of the family. Gary being part of my family, I'm going to miss my workers, and I'm going to miss actually being here doing the work. I mean, it's not bad, but the sawmill's a dying thing, and we'll just wait till the trees grow back all again and come back to her again.
Yeah, I'm just going to miss all the people I work with. I've worked with them for a long, long time. All these guys, I'm going to miss them.
What I'll miss the most is probably the guys that I've known, like Robbie. He was here before I was. Seeing them a lot every day. Won't miss the cold weather. Won't miss the hot weather. Won't miss the wind.
I'm going to miss who all we work with down here. It's kind of like a big family. I've been here since I graduated high school. I mean, a lot of good memories down here, but yeah, I guess that's all I could say. I'm just going to miss it when it's gone.
I'm going to miss the friendships and just hanging out with everybody on an everyday basis.
I'm going to miss everything. It's all one big memory.
Well, I'm surely going to miss days like this. We have all the crew in here and a lot of the family members, and we all pass through and have a good meal together and have our Christmas dinner here together. That's a very good time, and working with all these people has been a great experience. Definitely going to miss that.
Worked here for 30 years. I'm going to miss a lot. I started working for their dad and back in the 80s, and I'll probably never get anywhere else to where I like the people I work for. I don't know, it's not like they're just employers, like, part of the family. I don't know, it's going to be hard just to walk away.
there's a picture of Uncle Leonard in his obituary, and that's the guy that taught me so much. Right there. He was a good man. Great teacher. That's a picture of him, I think, at Jason's graduation at Shippensburg University. Good-looking fellow, he's all dressed up.
Uncle Leonard was a great logger. He had great logging skills, and he could fell a tree and lay it most anywhere he'd so please.
My Uncle Leonard. He's probably one of the best people I've ever known in my life. Memory of him and what he taught me, well, that sticks with you. Especially when he can take the time to teach. And that means a lot. It meant a lot, and I owe him a lot.
Leonard Rosenberry was my dad, my hero. I really liked him. Good man. Taught me a lot about the business. Taught me how to do things. We had a good relationship there. My dad was a World War II veteran. He was so glad to have made it through World War II alive and in one piece. And he was just ready to work, whatever it took to get ahead. It wasn't unusual to see him with a jacket on that was held shut by wire or twine. He was probably a millionaire a couple times over, but to look at him, you would never think so. He just loved throwing those big trees down. That was the juice that kept him going. Here you can see some of the size of the trees that Dad brought in.
And he taught me so many things. Just little simple things. It helped you not only there, but in everyday life. He never yelled, and he would take the time to show you. He was kind of a quiet, laid-back fellow, but he got an awful lot done. He got a lot done.
And working with my Uncle Leonard, man, I loved working with him. It was his way or no way. Yeah, I remember him. He taught me how to cut timber. Really, he was an expert. Pulling trees and everything like that.
Never in a hurry, always a steady pace. And at the end of the day, more was done than you would ever dream, you would never think. But yeah, the memory of him would be one of the best memories.
I don't know. He was just unbelievable. Yeah, he was unbelievable. Get choked up thinking about him. He got a new pickup one time. I think we're over now, but this new pickup, he'd take little strips and screw right into the friggin' dash so he could lay stuff behind it. Brand new friggin' pickup, you know. And he had beautiful guns. Heck of a turkey hunter. When he'd kill a turkey, he'd put a big foul mark on the stalk. You know, he was. If you met him, you'd just, say, "How you doing, hero?"
Is that what he would say?
Mm-hmm. Or you had to meet him to understand the way he was. He just, I think being in that war made him like that too. I mean, he appreciated everything so much. You know, he was good to people. Man, people just stopped to see him. And he lived over in that old cabin in his later years. He just stayed over there. All right.
Thank you.
Yep.